Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christensen, along with our co-host Anthony Faso. And today what we're going to be talking to you guys about is how to introduce the infinite banking concept to your family and friends. And additionally, probably more importantly, is how not to introduce the infinite banking concept to your family and friends.
Now, Cameron, this kind of sounds like this podcast is for people who are currently doing it. What about the listeners who are still doing their research? Are they going to have some value from today?
Today will be a great opportunity for those that are still doing their research to learn a little bit about how we actually introduce IBC to clients, and then we'll have some resources for you guys as well. So great opportunity for those listeners as well.
All right, let's get this started.
Anthony, I know you make a lot of mistakes, and I do enjoy pointing them out. So let's start with maybe some of the mistakes that you and I have made over the years, just on our own, right? Introducing this idea to people over the years.
You know what I found when I think I shared this with many, when you learn about infinite banking and you start doing it, you're excited about it. And you want to share it with your friends and family. But I would tell you what I originally did, I used to throw up on people.
Oh yeah.
I would say, "Oh man, you gotta read this book. You're gonna get a whole life policy. Then you're gonna borrow against it, and you're gonna pay interest back to yourself, and blah 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 blah." And
bam, you're rich.
Yeah, yeah. But the problem was I was given way too much detail, right? And it was really turning people off.
Yeah, I remember, right, going into and getting so excited and sitting down with people, and man, my meetings would be like 3 hours long, right? I'd get started, I'd get so excited and be like, hey, I'm just going to give you the overview. And then and don't forget this and this and this. And so I used to go into so much detail about how infinite banking concept worked. And we're here to tell you today that the how infinite banking works is secondary when sharing this idea. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I had something to say. Guess not.
I always do, but I'm going to let you finish this time.
The how is secondary when you're actually sharing information about the infinite banking concept. The most successful way to share infinite banking is to share the why somebody's doing infinite banking, and more importantly, your why.
I look back to my story, and if you would go back to Anthony, 13 years ago and say, hey, you know what? You are going to be putting over $100,000 a year into a whole life policy. I would have told you were crazy. Yeah. There's no way that I would really get whole life, period, and even still put 6 digits in there.
Yeah.
But I didn't do infinite banking because I wanted whole life. I did infinite banking because I wanted the things that whole life provided. The policy is just a tool. It's just a product. But that product, what I liked about it, for one, it was not tied to the market.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about what's happening with the economy in the stock market. I liked that it was tax-free. I liked that I had access to it, penalty-free. And more importantly, I like that it would continue to grow even though I used it.
Yep.
And the death benefit was really icing on the cake. It was really more of the benefits of the product than the actual product itself.
Yeah.
And kind of like a story is if you go into Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a hammer, you really don't want the hammer. What you really want is you want a nail in the wall to hang the picture, right? The hammer is just a tool.
Yeah.
And you know what, Cameron, let me explain this a little way so you can understand it, right?
You're going to explain what a hammer does or what?
No, because I'm not the handy one, right? But let me just put this in terms for you to understand.
Oh, boy.
Okay. You don't want Paul Mitchell hair mousse. What you want is you want your hair to be silky smooth. And just that Paul Mitchell mousse is just the best product, you believe, to get that hair that's silky smooth.
Hands down.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like the mousse is the whole life.
Good analogy.
Right? And the smooth and silky hair That's the benefits, the uninterrupted compounding, and the benefits of the product. That's why when you're explaining it to somebody, if you start mentioning whole life or borrowing against, they're going to have some misconceptions.
Loan rates and arbitrage between policy growth and loans. And
yeah, you talk about rates, and that is not the real important thing of what they're trying to accomplish. But if you say, hey, you want to create some passive income.
Yeah.
Right? You want to buy real estate. Well, you can do real estate, and using the policy is just like using a rewards credit card to buy your assets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What else would you add, Cameron?
I would add that we have you and I have spent a lot of time on our process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when somebody comes in, whether they're referred, they may not know anything about what we do, or maybe they've done their research on infinite banking and they're just looking for someone to help implement it. Is where do we start? We start with the why, right? We don't always start with the how. We start with what are you trying to get accomplished, and then we tell them if it's a good fit for them or not, and then we kind of fill in with the how, and those are the two meetings that we have afterwards. And so if you guys are listening and you're wondering if it's a good fit for you, feel free to call, right? Discovery call, 15 to 20 minutes. We'll kind of talk about your situation and some of your goals. But if I look back and I think about when I started, which is probably 13 years ago in one day, because I started earlier than you.
You know, we're going to look at we're going to go back at the first policy and see which one has the first date. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Right.
But if I look back, I remember, I've shared this story. I remember distinctly reading Nelson's book and looking at kind of what you could do with this policy and looking down at the bottom and thinking, man, you know what? I want an extra $1 million just by buying my cars this way. And so for me at the time, is I had a small business and I was sitting on cash and I never did anything because I didn't want to give up access to my money. So very similar to Anthony, is that the reason that I started doing this was because I wanted somewhere I could put my money and still have access to it. And then also on the back end, still have access to it for retirement income. So that was kind of why I got started, and I was extremely passionate at the time. But so that's kind of it. Yeah.
So if you want to go to share it, what I'd recommend is share your why.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the reasons? Maybe it's a tax freedom. Maybe it allows you to buy real estate. Or maybe this is how you're financing some personal expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's like, I don't trust the market. I want to get out of the market. I'm looking for something that will provide some more certainty. Whatever your why is, it will be much more powerful to somebody than what the product is, or kind of what my why is.
Yeah.
Right.
And if in preparation for this podcast, is Anthony and I went back and we looked at some of our top ranking podcasts that we've done over the last year and a half, 2 years or so. And what was coincidental, right, or timely, is that the top 5 or 6 of them really were us kind of interviewing clients. And the ways that they, right, it wasn't you talking, Anthony, believe it or not.
It wasn't about infinite banking,
Yeah.
right? It was about their clients' why.
Yeah, we interviewed Nick Johnson, right? Nick had a great interview, client, and what we just talked about was he had him tell his story about why he was using infinite banking and how he was able to potentially, or here in the next 12 months or so, create enough income to leave his W-2 job, right? We had another guy on there, Alan Jorgensen, that really his why was he wanted to find a vehicle or a way that he could have his wife come home and stop working. Right. And so that's really what he shared. And those are some of our top ranked podcasts when we look at them compared to the other ones.
So what we're going to do is in the show notes, we're going to list some of those resources. Right. So we have some podcasts. What else is a good resource?
Yeah. First one is we've got a video, a 12-minute video of how infinite banking concept works. Right. So, again, I wouldn't say lead with this. Right. But it's a great resource if somebody does have some interest, is they can watch that video and get some of the mechanics of how infinite banking works. The other one is our online course, right? Is we do have a link that we'll add to the show notes where, if you're interested, you can jump in there and you can see a whole bunch of videos and stuff that we've created that just kind of tells you about the why and potentially the how and how other people have used it for real estate and other opportunities. So what else?
There's a book that started it all, Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash.
there's some, Anthony, if we're being honest here, there's some
Yeah.
good and bad with the book. Would you agree with that?
What do you say in the bad? What do you?
Well, I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, but previously when I've asked people to read the book, it can be a hurdle.
Well, yeah, like any book.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were referring specifically to Nelson's book, but yeah, a lot of people, they don't read much anymore or books anymore. So that was probably my biggest problem. Not only was I throwing up on them, I was shoving a book in their face, and having them read it, and so, but a book is one way, and that's going to be a good way for some people.
Yeah.
It's really about, I think, how you learn, right? If you're a reader, get the book. If you like videos, watch the video. If you're more audio, get the podcast. But to me, I think the best way, the best resource for them is getting on a discovery call with us.
Okay.
Just as you said, 15 to 30 minutes, no pressure. We're just trying to see if really infinite banking is for you. And then we can point into some additional resources and maybe allow you to get in our course and kind of show you some specific videos that will kind of help you understand and determine if infinite banking is for you or not.
Well said. All right, Anthony, let's wrap this up, and let's just give you guys a reminder again, is when you're trying to share infinite banking is don't start with the how, the mechanics of it, right? But start with your why. Why are you doing IBC, and tell somebody that. And I think you're going to have much better opportunity to share infinite banking on the back end with them. So hope you guys enjoy this episode.
That's my line I normally end with, but you threw me off. But enjoy the episode and share IBC to people who you think will be open to learn. Now go make it a fantastic day.
It's going to get you there. Take care. Have a great day.